Just hit Zoom. Okay, no, the chair's empty.
I'm right here.
We're live.
Well, get going.
All right, good afternoon, everyone. It's Friday afternoon, August 24th.
Oh,
And
boy.
we're here again.
Did
Terry,
you
where
say-
is your?
Did you
where is
say
your-
August? You said August 24th?
No, I don't think I did.
I think you did.
I think I said April 24th. But maybe it was August, we'd be back working. All right, so it's April 24th, Friday afternoon, and Terry is at our home and I'm here at PSC and Terry. And we're going to share with you our kind of some of our latest thoughts. Since we talked yesterday afternoon around 2:30, our governor of Illinois extended the stay-at-home order through the end of May. And actually through May 30th, which is one day before the end of May. And is going to, as the week goes on next week, he's going to lay out some additional plans for how, kind of his thoughts on how we're going to come back. He's been very clear on what needs to be in place in order for us to come back, and is relying very much on science and kind of the math of this virus for our state. Governor Holcomb in Indiana has done the same. Earlier in the week, he extended his stay-at-home order. You may be back in Indiana. You may be back before Illinois. I know that in Illinois, one of the changes that's been made is that retail businesses that are non-essential are allowed to, again, participate in the curbside pickup, curbside drop-off. You're allowed to both receive packages and also ship out packages. And there were some additional businesses that were allowed to open, such as state parks, golf courses, and some landscape providers. So with that being said, that leaves our salons and shops and still on hold, with the exception of the curbside deliveries and pickups, and of course shipping out. Some of you have e-commerce sites that you've stood up during this time and are actually beginning to do quite nicely with them. Congratulations on that. We are here at PSC to serve you, and orders at pscspace.com will get to you. We are on a really a skeleton crew here, so you may not get the normal quick service that you get from us, but we will do our best to get those orders out into your hands as just as quickly as possible. So with that being said, I think that the other good news is that the phase 3.5 of the CARES Act passed the Congress yesterday. So it's through both houses and was signed this morning by our president. And so it's been the PPP loan and the EIDL loan have been refueled, refurbished. More money's been put into them. And now there's a couple of little differences. One of the differences is that $60 billion of what they have put back into the PPP loan has gone to smaller and community banks in some of the areas where they're more economically challenged than others. So in this case, they have taken into consideration some of maybe what the challenges were with the first amount, and the small community banks in those more challenging communities are going to certainly be able to fund more than they would have. It is still said, now remember, the PPP loan, SBA said that they did in 14 days the same amount of loans that they would have done in 14 years. So the demand on this, as we all, as business people, can absolutely understand, the demand is huge. Our businesses have been closed for a very long time. So everyone is looking for some of that relief. It's why the Senate and Congress passed it. It's why the president signed it. It's clear that we, need the funds. What my concern is that if you haven't already applied for a PPP or an EIDL loan, time is almost of the essence, and time is almost behind you.
Steve, one of the questions that I have, and I was just on a salon, with a salon before this started, and they received their dollars very quickly. Because we are not able to open our businesses when they first thought that this had to be used before June 30th, do you think an extension is going to be granted of any kind? Because you can't, how do you ask something when you're not creating revenue in your businesses? I don't understand that.
Well, it's very true, Terry. And do I think it'll be extended? Yes. From day one, I thought it would be extended, even if they wouldn't have added to it, even if it would have just been standalone. The part that the government has been slow on, which is understandable, their thought process was get the money out into the communities, get it into the hands of the people who need it. And then we'll deal with how do we work out the finances of how much is forgiven on the loan, how much is a grant, and how much is a loan that needs to be paid back. They still have the work to do on that. They have refined it a couple of times, but they have not necessarily, well, they haven't at all come up with the final, this is how we're going to do the math of forgiveness of the loan, and how much is going to be converted to a term loan. So more to follow on that. I do still believe the date is going to be kicked out. It'll be moved out beyond June 30th, especially with this idea that businesses may not even open until June 1. Here's the thing. I do think that if it stands as it is, I think that accountants, bankers, and business people are going to be legally creative with making those things happen.
Mm-hmm.
Not to stretch the law by any, by any imagination, but work within the parameters of it so that the maximum amount can be forgiven when showing we put that money in the hands of the people who it was intended for. Mm-hmm. I think where people will have trouble with that is if they don't put it in the hands of the people it was intended for at all. They just appropriate it for other things, and that's not suggested. It's not a good idea. You definitely want to move forward. Now, I did get some questions on the last live that we had about what happens if you, it was designed to pay 8 weeks worth of income. What do we do if we brought people back and 8 weeks later we paid the 8 weeks and we're still not open? Well, people can go back on unemployment. It's, I don't want to say it's that simple because it's not simple. 26 million people are on unemployment right now in our country. So every unemployment system, state system, is flooded. And on May 11th in Illinois, the independent contractor is allowed to enter the portal and apply. One thing I heard today from the governor that I think is important, and I think this probably goes for both states. They said, if you're an independent contractor, get on the portal now, put your request in, get denied. You're already in the portal then. Then it's a matter of the 11th going back in and reapplying based on that date. It's just the cumbersome nature of waiting and trying to get into the system and putting your information in. Get that out of the way now, even if you're knowing you're going to get a denial. Mm-hmm. But after May 11th, you go back in and do it again. So I thought that was interesting. The other thing is if you do go through the money, you do make the 8 weeks of pay, and you're not back to work yet, or some are back to work and some are not back to work. If you decide not to go forward, you get back in and you don't have a need for every single one, you'd like them to still be on unemployment for a period of time, then they can go back on, go back and apply for unemployment again until you're ready to go full steam ahead. So those are just a couple of thoughts that were different, questions that came in. um, and where, where we stand as of now. I think that one of the bigger things that's, I want to say brewing. First of all, I want to suggest that every salon in Illinois, and I also want to suggest to look into this in Indiana if they have a parallel association. There's the Illinois Retail Merchants Association, IRMA. Rob Carr is the director of that in the state of Illinois. Most everyone that I talk to makes mention that that is one of the most powerful, if not the most powerful association in the state of Illinois. And by the very nature that we are in the retail business as well, I think that it's very reasonable. It's your annual volume as a company, and I would suggest it. What made me think of that is that I think we have, and this may be controversial to some, it was the last time I said it, and I don't mean it to be. We have to look at hairdressers and barbers being part of the essential businesses in a state. Now, it's true that you can't go without medical care. You can't go without water. You can't go without groceries. People could go without haircuts. They could go without hair color. So by that strict definition, can you go without it, or is it essential to life itself? Then I think, clearly we would then be non-essential. However, my experience in 3 generations and having my family be a 4th generation in this business is that hairdressing and barbers have always been essential. They are many times the pillars of a community, the lifeblood. They are the people that have so much to contribute to the well-being of the citizens in that community. Mm. It's one of the few places that someone can go to where they feel better coming out than when they went in. They carry themselves different, they walk differently, they have a different sense of feeling good about themselves. See, what barbers and what hairdressers do is that they help people by increasing their confidence in the way they feel about themselves when they look in the mirror, the way they carry themselves when they meet others. I think it's so important. We don't know at this point. Will hairdressing salons and barbers be among phase 1 when Illinois or Indiana does come back? Will we be phase 2? Will we be phase 3? We don't know because it hasn't been spoken yet.
So you're asking the voices to start making some noise.
Well, I'm asking to say we're going to raise the issue, and then at some point we're going to want to come together and make a statement. And when we come together and make a statement, we want to do it as one profession, as one industry, as the beauty and barber industry. And we want to be sure that the governor and the state of Illinois hears us
and recognizes us as such.
Yes. So we're moving, and we're just doing the grassroots stuff. I do think that the Illinois Retail Merchants Association can help us as a group with some of the various things that we could do. I also know the Illinois Association of Cosmetology Schools can help us with that. I believe Cosmetologist Chicago can help us with that. There are groups that I think we can gather. And if there's one thing, the thing I hear most often about these live presentations that we make is that people feel more calm. They feel better. They feel they have hope at the end of these. They're filled with information. They're getting to where they get to look forward to what's next. And that's certainly all of what we want to do in these is serve you. You're our customer. You're our people. You're our tribe. And we're here for you and to help your business thrive and survive. And we're in in an unprecedented time. And so knowing that, then we say there's also a responsibility. There's a responsibility that we carry this industry forward and we carry it strong. And I think we really need to do that. So let's look at our memberships, see where we belong, see that we can at some point move forward and make a statement, because I want to be top of mind as an industry. We have had other, and I guess I'll give you an example of it. And Terry knows that this is a hot button for me, and I don't mean it to be spoken against anyone who's in the pet grooming industry. But I want to say, why is pet grooming an essential business that gets to reopen and hairdressing isn't? And there's no logic. I know you've tried to logic it with me, Terry, but I just don't buy it. The pets don't drive themselves to the groomer. They don't pay for their own services. They don't wait in a parking lot until they can go in for their service. There's none of that takes place. A human being brings them and hands that dog off to another human being. That is personal contact. That also requires other people in that most pet grooming places that I've seen are small vestibules. And there's that interaction that goes back and forth. I just don't think. Now, here's the thing about it. Pet groomers at this point don't require a license. They don't pay licensing fees to the state of Illinois. They don't pay testing fees to the state of Illinois. They don't annually or biannually re-up their license. They don't have to function under state sanitation laws and so on, to the best of my knowledge. This is just me on a little rant. And it's not about them. It's about the fact that when you look at the number of hours of training that have to do with sanitation and safety, and then the amount of the test, the state exam, that is part of sanitation and safety, that every single hairdresser and barber is tested on and certified in. And yet, not only are we not an essential business, but we're not one of the first ones to reopen when it's in our training. So that's my rant. And you know what? The big challenge that we've had as an industry is we've never, ever been able to have one voice. And I'm going to challenge you to get behind us, and let's get behind the groups, all those groups. Let's be one, and let's go to our state government and make a statement. Because you know what? I know the amount of pressure that all of you are getting from your guests. I got text messages yesterday right after the governor spoke again that said, "Oh my God, my clients are putting so much pressure on us to reopen. They're putting so much pressure on us to come to their homes. They want us to sell them color. They want us to do this and that." Well, guess what? Professionals don't do that. And professionals need to be recognized for what they are in the community and in this industry and for our guests. I don't know how many people are writing a lot of these retail stores saying, open up, I can't wait. You know, I really doubt it. But with hairdressers, you all know, every single hairdresser and barber that's on this has gotten pressure to do hair. You've gotten pressure to go serve them in one way or another. And so my suggestion is we need to make sure this is a time where what we should take away and what we should learn from this is that we move forward as an industry and have our voice heard and make a difference for the future so that somebody else isn't this left out of the conversation as we move forward. So Teresa, what would you like to say? Sorry, I dominated that one.
No, you're on a roll. I don't think you needed me at all today. I've got one little thing I've been thinking about. And it's not that big. I've been really thinking about the steps of the service at the dental office that we've chosen to service our family. And one of the things that I think we might need to add to, and you and I aren't in complete agreement on this, but I think maybe safety glasses, and there's all different kinds, and only one pair is needed. They don't change those out the entire time. The dog's knocking on the door. They don't change those out every time, but I think especially during the shampoo, that might be necessary. So I'm just putting it out there right now. Okay.
Mhm.
I think it's important. And once again, looking at our color trays and the way we're setting up and doing the tools and positioning and such, it's just going to look more synchronized. I think that's the word, to show disciplines of safety. And I think having an exact way that we set up a tray is really important.
Mhm. Without a doubt. And if we're going to have trays, what do they need to look like, and do they need to be changed out? I know that in the school we have an abundance of them in both schools, but some need to be either thrown in the garbage or repainted, or just new parts for them.
Or maybe even using parchment paper as a liner, just anything that can cover up that. They get sloppy looking. And what does sloppy look like to people? Dirty. And dirty doesn't look
Sanitation.
dirty doesn't look safe. Yeah. It's definitely a part.
So I think most definitely also with what came out from the governor yesterday, masks are going to be required. Now, one of the things that's interesting is both yesterday and today, he made it a point to say masks means face covering. And he keeps giving this example of a t-shirt that's kind of turned into a face covering. I can't see that flying in a salon.
No.
Maybe for the hairdresser, but I can't see it flying for a guest. So if a guest is going to come in wearing like a t-shirt face covering, and we've all seen them in grocery stores and whatnot when we've been out getting essential things. We've seen some that I know would not fly in a salon. So in some cases, we're going to meet.
Some of them are just handkerchiefs.
Yeah, I mean, we're going to meet people at the door of our business and ask them to take off the face covering that they have and wear a mask that we provide. And I think that's going to be a necessary transition. It's going to be a necessary thing to think about,
Sure.
to prepare for. I had a salon give me their first estimate of the number of masks that they would need every 2 weeks, and it's a big number. I mean, it's kind of an astronomical number. It's a big salon, but if you do the math of the number of guests per day, per week, and then 2 weeks at a time, we're going to need to be procuring a large number of masks for our guests to wear, disposable masks. And the price that we get on them is going to be an important thing as well. So just know that we continue to source those things. And I feel like the governor when I say we're sourcing PPE, but it's what we're working on right now. So we'll see what we come up with. I will tell you one thing that's interesting is that there are some suppliers, beauty company suppliers, that are starting to switch to cash before they accept the order, because they're worried that the majority of these companies are going to wind up not making it. That's kind of humbling as a business owner. That's kind of humbling to have, an almost 40-year-old company and have people say, we had to go to this because we're not sure whether these companies are going to even survive, and we can't afford to take a hit. So I understand it, but I feel it too as a business person. So we're going to really have to work together as time goes on to make sure that we have enough of these supplies, because once we're open, we want to stay open.
Well, and you're trying to get everything at a cost that brings it down for the salons too, which is
Yeah.
nice.
Yeah. But we're also trying to get quantity. That's the thing. And it's an unknown quantity. So I would say for those of you that are regular guests of PSC, the sooner that you could just email or text or send a
Talk
message,
to your consultant or even. Mhm.
yeah, with what you think the average number of masks you would need per week or per 2 week period of time, that would really help us because then we could begin. I mean, we're already projecting, we've already got lots of things on order, but it's sure anything that we could do to be proactive on this, we want to do that. So what else are you thinking about?
I really
Really?
just a lot on my mind, and thinking about all of our guests and our salons. Really working on that list to bring even more meat to you next week. Um, People have asked us to send that list out. We need to get that in some kind of PDF or something for them and add it to our site if you haven't done that already.
Yeah,
Because
and we also want to make sure that we have the finishing touches on it and that you feel
oh,
good about it.
yeah, it's not pretty yet, and it will be, but that was first draft, just throwing things together based on our conversation. So we're going to add some more things to it, and you'll get another update probably next Wednesday, I would think.
Great. Another thing that we're working on is we're, with this being, I think, the 17th or 16th, one of these lives, we're working on having them have an index of what's covered in the various live. So you're not just going back and having to find information that we've talked about in the past. You'd be able to look on YouTube or look on Facebook and know that this is what's covered.
Good.
And so we're trying to make it as easy as possible as we can for you.
Good.
So I don't think we need to go on longer. I have been thinking about something. I don't know how to quite tie it all together yet, but we had a meeting today at our home. And there's two things I want to talk about. We had a meeting at our home. And one of the phrases that was said was, we want to provide comfort and have her stay at home. Well, we're all stay at home. How much time, when I thought about the 2 hours spent talking about what would it take to create comfort for her?
My mom. Yeah.
When's the last time that we spent 2 minutes thinking about how do we create comfort for one another? We know we're in a stay-at-home order and it's just been extended, and that doesn't make anybody. I mean, we didn't have a fireworks last night in the neighborhood because people were so excited that they were in a stay-at-home for another really 5 weeks. So how do we make that stay at home? How do we bring comfort to the stay at home? What things need to change? What things do we need to do? What kind of a schedule do we need to think about? What kind of even scribe, even just writing down this, I think the key to this whole thing is going to be, what do we take away as a human being from this experience? Most of our lives were human doings, even though we're referred to as human beings. What are we going to take away from this time? And how do we then give that gift to one
To
another?
someone else. Mm-hmm. What's the other thing you learned today?
Well, it's not something I learned today. It's just something that I want to acknowledge today.
What I do now?
Our Chicago school lost a future professional to COVID-19. And it's been a terribly sad situation. And it's one of those things, and if you've been around Terry and I for any period of time, you also know that we've talked about the fact that when something happens to you, it becomes more serious until it happens to you. And I know that with the number of with the number of COVID deaths, that it's probably come very close to many of you out there. But this is as close as it's come to us that we know of. And the thing that I think about is here's this amazingly bright, brilliant future professional that lit up our school in such a special way. And she was loved by her learning leaders and everybody that she touched. She was pregnant, and when it was obvious that she was going to lose the battle to COVID-19, they did do an emergency C-section, and there's a baby boy that is alive today as the kind of the final act of love that she gave. So I think that I just want to say that personally now I've had that experience, and it's such a loss. This is a future professional that I know of, and probably had one or two conversations with, but boy, when I see how it rippled through our team, it was unbelievable, the lives that she touched. So I think all of us at some point have come in contact with that through this COVID-19. And again, it's our charge. It's our charge to those people who did lose their lives from this. How do we carry forward? How do we be good citizens? And how do we pledge to make a difference? And I can tell you that my pledge is there to make a difference in the beauty industry and in our communities. And we want to continue to serve all of you. Thanks for your love and support. Have a terrific weekend. I'm told by my little weatherman and YouTube star that Saturday's going to be a little bit rainy and Sunday's going to be our better day.
God bless him.
Just know that.
Is he there today?
He's next door. He's pretty focused. I don't know that he's gonna, but yeah, he's sending his love for sure. But anyway, we'll see you Monday. Thanks so much. I hope today was worthwhile for you.
I'll have more to talk about on Monday, I hope. Yeah?
I think so.
Okay.
Thank you.
Bye.